Alright, so in this video, I'm going to discuss the fastest possible path, the shortest time to EU citizenship. A lot of my viewers, a lot of people watching this channel, 90% of you are looking for an EU passport. 10% would want to stay away from EU. They either already have a EU citizenship or they're done with the Western world. They just don't want to deal with any Western country, so they want to stay away. But most people would typically want to have at least an EU passport as part of their portfolio. In this video, I'm going to discuss the fastest option and also compare that with some other contenders. Now, what are the different countries that play here in the EU that actually award citizenship? There are 5 countries typically in the EU. France, it of course provides citizenship. The biggest challenge with France these days is that they have bumped up the language requirements to B1, B2, which can be super tough for a lot of people. You got to be fluent in French now in order to be eligible for that citizenship. So that's a tough one. The second option here is Belgium. It of course offers a citizenship, but they have also bumped up the language requirements for their citizenship. It's in the B category, which takes it off the table for a lot of people. Then you have Germany, which also grants citizenship in 5 years, and a lot of people will find the German language quite tough to clear. And then you have Ireland as one of the options. Ireland typically on paper sounds the best option because English language, easy to clear, straightforward path to citizenship. But what's really not straightforward is the residency option. The only real option for Ireland is that you find a job in a critical skill domain, find that employment, and then file for this residency, then wait for 5 years. It does have a non-dom regime, so that's helpful from a taxation perspective. The other option is open up a business in Ireland and then hire yourself as an employee. You'll have to show substantial activity for them to approve your application. You're significantly limited in the number of people that you're taking with you to Ireland. This is not the best option for a lot of people. Here we are talking about fast and simple options. And if you leave these typical or traditional countries where you need standard employment, there is high taxation, there's significant amount of contribution that you'll have to put towards, you'll have to dedicate the next 5 to 7 years of your life to acquire these citizenships. So we are trying to skip these options. What are some of the lightweight contenders here? Now you have 3 golden visas in the EU. You have Malta, you have Greece, and you have Cyprus. Now, out of these 3, Greece, of course, is not a practical option for citizenship. Now, how do you get the residency? How do you strike the golden visa in Greece? That's pretty simple. Because it's a golden visa, you don't have any physical presence requirements inside Greece. But the way to obtain this is invest 250K to 500K in a property based on how you want to structure it, and you are in Greece. This is great if you're trying to strike an EU permit. Right, keep the EU permit, never want to naturalize, then this option works. If you really want to naturalize through the Greece option, this is one of the toughest and a non-practical option in my opinion, because after 7 years, you'll have to pass extremely difficult Greek exam. And even if you, let's say, somehow cross that barrier, they're going to take forever to issue the citizenship. They are not known to provide citizenship on time, 17 years, 18 years. That's the amount of time it could take. Malta had a direct citizenship option. That was the only path to citizenship, EU citizenship then 1 to 3 years. But that option is closed. Now, the golden visa in Malta does not function for citizenship purposes. Again, like Greece, you're going to be stuck forever. You're not going to obtain that citizenship at the end, so you're better off staying away. That leaves us with a third option, which is a pretty interesting option of Cyprus. This is an EU country. There's a slight con. The con is not that big of a deal. The con is it's not a Schengen country. So if you get this permit, you can't use this for visa-free travel within the Schengen region. But what you do get is a clear path to EU citizenship. And once you become an EU citizen, then of course you can travel wherever you want in the Schengen region. Now, Cyprus has 2 options. One is the golden visa, which is you purchase a property worth 300K in Cyprus, and then you strike, you obviously get the golden visa. This is a flexible residency. By living there for just 60 days, you can trigger, if you want, you can trigger a tax residency. Most people doing the golden visa would typically do Cyprus for this reason, because they want to strike that quick and easy tax residency. There are significant tax advantages in Cyprus. Let's hypothetically make a case that you're not going to work in Cyprus. It's a territorial regime, non-dom territorial regime. So any income that's outside Cyprus is not going to be taxed in Cyprus. And that's the whole utility or the reason why you would want to strike that 60-day tax residency in Cyprus. There's, of course, other requirements like not triggering tax residency in other jurisdictions. So as long as you're maintaining that, this is a great tax solution. Now, when it comes to citizenship, the 3 years or the 4-year path does not go with the golden visa. Now, if you're going through the golden visa, then you would have to wait for the standard 7 years plus 1. In approximately 8 years, you should be able to naturalize. But let's say you want to naturalize the fastest, as I said, in 3 years plus 1, or 4 years plus 1. I'll explain how this differs and what's the comparison. But yes, Cyprus is the country where you can strike this. And the way to strike this is through establishing a foreign company. So let's say you start a company in Cyprus, and we have a team that helps set this up for you. You strike the company, and then you got to deposit at least 200k euros as foreign capital in this company, and that makes or qualifies this company as a foreign entity that's eligible, right, to qualify for this fast track option. And then you hire yourself, and you can include other people on this company. So yes, you can invest once and you can hire multiple people. So let's just make a hypothetical case. You're hiring 3 people by establishing one company. And that way you are now employed by this foreign entity that has a special designation because you have invested 200k in this company. And now you have this residency. Now you have special critical skill set that is very important for Cyprus, or Cyprus values this skill set. Now you are eligible for the 3 years plus 1 track, which is the fastest track to citizenship. And here the language is slightly higher. You're looking at a B1 level language requirement. So this is going to be significantly tougher, but what you're getting in return is you're naturalizing in 3 years plus 1. And this is the Greek language. The biggest benefit, the biggest upside of doing Cyprus in the first place is that it's an English-speaking country. Most people speak English. So from your business perspective or your lifestyle perspective, for a good life, you have all the ingredients. You have the main language factor, which is in your control. So you can happily take care of yourself, your family, enjoy a good life in this country because you're dealing in English. But when it comes to citizenship qualification, the language is Greek, right? You got to satisfy that condition. You got to learn Greek at a B1 level. So you'll have to put in some extra effort if you're looking to get this in 3 years plus 1. However, now here's the fun part. Most people aren't going to go for the 3-year track. They're going to choose the 4-year track, because in the 4-year track, the language complexity drops from the B1 level to an A2 level, which is super straightforward. It's simple. It's pretty doable. If you put in a certain amount of hours, then pretty sure you should be able to clear the A2, which makes it a standard path from 4 years, between 4 and 5 years. And yes, you and your family can naturalize in Cyprus. I think from the fastest EU citizenship perspective, and we're not just talking about the fastest option here. We want fast, convenient, something that makes sense. And the reason why I bring up Cyprus here, because there's been a constitutional change. There's been a major constitutional update where they have to honor the citizenship. Once you apply, you pay the 5,000 euros of premium to expedite this process. And once you qualify, they're bound by law to make a decision in 8 months. And this is in stark contrast with any other EU country in that region, right? So the other 4 examples or 5 examples that I have discussed, they don't have any obligation. That's where the delay creeps in. Maybe they take 3 years, 4 years, it's not in your control. You're stuck. You don't know whether you want to live in the country or exit. But here in Cyprus, in 8 months, they have to make a decision. And that's why I think this becomes important. It checks two boxes. One is you get the fixed 8-month time frame to naturalize. Second is the entry criteria is super simple. It's one of the safest places to be. It's in the EU. The money that you're investing is not a donation, so you have really nothing to lose. Now, the big question is, how much do you need to live in the country physically? Now, if the golden visa in Cyprus that I discussed earlier, that is one of the most flexible options. You turn up once in 2 years and you're fine. You can keep the Cyprus residency alive, the golden visa alive. But under this critical skills route where you're striking your business and then hiring yourself and you're on your path, your fast track from 3 years to 4 years to the citizenship, you got to physically live in Cyprus for at least more than half the time in each of the preceding 3 years. And let's say in the fourth year, you got to live there for most of the time, which is at least, you can only be out for 90 days, right? For whatever you need to be out for. But for other time, you got to be in the country, so you're not interrupting your residency, and then you can apply for citizenship. If you are really serious about EU citizenship, this is the easiest and the fastest route to an EU citizenship. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think is the winner here? Is Cyprus the best option according to you, or do you feel there's any other option that you would pick that's better or makes more sense than Cyprus? And before you go, make sure you subscribe to the channel because it helps me get you important news, breaking updates on time. And if you want to learn about a direct permanent residency, which you can attach to any passport, and this permanent resident demonstrated live how I was able to acquire this permanent residency in just 30 minutes. If you missed that video, definitely hop onto this one. I've covered this extensively with my attorney, a super interesting video and a process. Catch you in this one.